The order arrived just before dawn, typed on thin paper, signed with a name that made everyone in the room hold their breath. No one spoke as it was read aloud. The words were precise, cold, and legally airtight. There was no room for debate. Only execution. Captain Daniel Mercer stood at the head of the briefing table, his jaw tight. He'd followed orders his entire adult life. West Point taught him discipline. War taught him obedience. But this order felt different. It was a cold knot in his chest before his mind could even process why. The target was a small village, barely a speck on most maps. Intelligence claimed it was a nest of enemy combatants. The directive was brutally clear: clear the area, eliminate all resistance, and ensure the village could never be used again. There was no mention of civilians. No plan for evacuation. Mercer looked at the young faces around the room, men and women who trusted him completely. Some were fresh-faced kids. Others were hardened veterans who had already seen too much. They waited for him to give the order meaning, to make it human. "Gear up," he said, his voice flat. "We move in 30. The convoy rolled out as the sun bled over the horizon, kicking up a trail of dust. As they neared the village, Mercer scanned the landscape through his binoculars. He saw no fortifications, no weapons. Just smoke from morning cooking fires and the slow, peaceful rhythm of life. He saw children playing. And that's when his doubt sharpened into a blade. The first shots didn't come from the village. They came from a mud wall just outside of it, a brief, chaotic firefight. 2 enemy fighters were down in seconds. The rest vanished into the hills. It should have ended right there, but the order hadn't changed. Mercer radioed command. "Resistance neutralized. Area appears to be largely civilian." The silence on the other end was heavy. Then the response, robotic and devoid of emotion. "Proceed as ordered. Proceed." His second-in-command, Lieutenant Harris, came to his side. "Sir," Harris said quietly, "this isn't what they told us we'd see." Mercer just nodded. "I know." They moved into the village on foot. Doors opened cautiously. Faces, filled with fear and confusion, stared back. An old man raised his hands in surrender. A mother clutched her child. Mercer felt the crushing weight of his rank, of the decision he was about to make. He could follow the order, or he could live with himself. He made the choice that would define the rest of his life. "Secure the village," he commanded. "No destruction. No shots unless fired upon." Harris looked stunned. "Sir, the order—" "I'll answer for it," Mercer cut him off. "That's my job. Instead of burning, they spent the day helping. Medics treated sick children. Engineers fixed a broken well. They documented everything with photos and interviews, knowing that evidence was their only shield. By nightfall, a helicopter arrived, not with supplies, but with investigators." Mercer was relieved of command on the spot. His men watched in silence as he was escorted away. Some couldn't meet his eyes. Others gave a small, almost imperceptible nod of respect. Back home, the narrative was simple. Captain disobeys orders in a combat zone. The court-martial was swift. The charges were damning: insubordination, dereliction of duty. The village was never mentioned by name. The civilians he saved never appeared on the record. Mercer stood alone as the verdict was read. Guilty. He was dismissed from the service. No prison time, but no pension, no honor. Just a signature on a piece of paper and a slammed door. For years, that was the final word. History agreed with the verdict. Mercer found work in construction, avoiding the news and army reunions. At night, he replayed the decision, wondering if he'd thrown away his life for nothing. Then, years later, the truth emerged. A journalist uncovered classified reports, peeling back layers of redaction. The intelligence had been faulty based on a single unverified source. The village had been misidentified. The article laid it all bare: names, dates, orders. And in a footnote, it mentioned a captain who refused to carry out the destruction, who documented the presence of civilians. The story exploded. Veterans who had been there spoke up. Aid organizations confirmed the village still existed, that the people were safe. One of the children Mercer's men had helped, now an adult, sent a photo of the repaired well, still providing clean water. Congress held hearings. Generals were questioned. The official story began to change. Mercer received a thick letter with official seals. His discharge was upgraded. His record amended. It wasn't a full restoration, but it was a correction. History, it turned out, just moves slower than orders. At a small ceremony years later, Mercer stood once more in uniform. He was older, thinner, but his gaze was steady. A young officer approached him afterward. "Sir," she said, "I read about what you did." Mercer gave a faint smile. "Then you know it wasn't easy." She nodded. "I just wanted to say thank you for showing us that sometimes our true duty goes beyond just following orders." Captain. Mercer's story is a powerful reminder that true honor isn't always found in obedience, but in the courage to do what is right, no matter the cost. Thank you for watching. If this story moved you, please like, share, and subscribe for more forgotten histories.